Let me tell you something.
Why do you need a fireplace in Houston? But hey,
I didn't say a fireplace. I said
Yes,
fire.
it
I had
sound
something
like
on
a
the
fire.
stove.
Sound like a fireplace to me.
It
listen,
was something
man.
on the stove, man.
Please,
Candles? You got candles, son? Dang.
I do have candles. I like
It was
candles.
candle day the other day. Is what my wife told me. So
please don't cook for an hour. That's fair. Don't cook
That
for
uh
an hour, man.
Bath and Body Works sale be hitting every time. Did you get some mahogany teak wood?
Uh,
my wife didn't partake, I don't think.
Mahogany teak wood. I'll tell y'all this story, man. And shorty, I didn't look certain things. I hear about it, and it's like it sound cool, but I like what I like. So if it ain't my vibe, I'm not going out my way to get it. But one time, shorty, it was for Christmas. We don't even celebrate Christmas. Gave me this joint, and I was like, I'm gonna like this joint. And it was apparently a manly version of my or like an extra. I don't know, man. I lit that joint. Woo. I was like,
uh,
hold up,
listen,
vibes,
that mahogany teakwood candle is something.
vibes,
Mm,
vibes. Then I
It's,
read about it. I was like, I see what you're trying to do to me. Was it with Shaq Joyce is I see a game, man. I wasn't familiar.
I'm playing.
But
And
I
plus,
see it now.
Yeah, I
but
wasn't
I see
familiar
it.
with your
I
game.
was in but I see it now.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3 on 3 podcast with your boy Ev, Lou, and your boy Hans. The Pod Mamba is not in the background holding us down. He had some family issues that he's taking care of. So we wish you the best, sir. He'll be back next week as always. You know, we got to have our resident Pod Mamba in the background, our Laker fan, So he'll be back though. He'll be back. But we have a great show lined up for you as always. And thank you for joining us. So I think it goes without saying that the in-season tournament has been a resounding success. We've seen some great games as a result of it. I mean, what comes top of mind for me is the Golden State Sacramento rivalry. I think we can call it a rivalry, even though Golden State is more accomplished. They have the titles, et cetera, et cetera. But the fierce battles that they're having is just awesome. And we've seen so many as a result of this tournament. I can honestly say I've seen more engaged NBA fans than I have since maybe the LeBron Heat era, or even when KD switched sides and went to the Golden State Warriors. People are actually tuning in. I'm looking on my social media feeds and people are commenting on a regular game, Pelicans versus whoever game, just because of what matters and how it feeds into the in-season tournament. And I think this is just great for the NBA. This has been a slam dunk, pun intended, which was crappy, but hey, I'm working on it, which
I
was
like it.
intended, but I think that we still have more to come. Right now, we're at the peak of it. We're at the pinnacle. We're done with the regular in season, the playing games. Now we're at the elimination rounds. And I'm not going to lie, these matchups, they're not disappointing. They have lived up. I am looking forward to each and every one of these matchups. So it goes without saying that this elimination round is going to give birth to some maybe historic games, some historic battles. And if you're not excited, then I'm sorry, then you just don't love the game. I'm sorry, but these bracket lineups are just awesome. We have on the east side, you have the Bucks versus the Knicks. And then you have the Pacers versus the Celtics. Hard fought teams. I can't wait for that. And then on the West Coast, you got the Lakers. I know people weren't expecting them to be in there, but they went perfect versus the Suns. And that could be a potential playoff. And then you got the Kings versus the Pelicans. The Pelicans making a run. So listen, y'all, I'm excited about this in-season tournament. I'm excited to see this elimination round, NCAA style. You either win or go home. And I know you guys are excited as well. But before we dive into the brackets, let's take a step back. Let's go back to the in-season tournament. Are there any areas that you guys think need to be improved, even though it's been a resounding success? Is there anything that you think they can improve on or maybe add that would make it even better, take it to the next level for next season? I'm going to start off with you, Ev.
So I gotta come on first and take my little victory lap. I called this at the very beginning of the season. I said that the in-season tournament would be a resounding success. It has been. What was funny to me was after the third night of games, when I saw the entire media landscape, everybody that had been spending all summer saying that this was unnecessary, that it was a money grab, would the players be into it, et cetera, et cetera. It's like everybody's mindset flipped at one time and they collectively got it. Like, oh, this is added competition. The players do care. This is exciting, right? So before I get to what could be improved, I just want to say kudos to the NBA. They did it right. The theme nights was great. Doing this in Vegas, I think, is going to be awesome. They've set up a new event on the calendar. Side note, guys, we got, if it's next year or whatnot, we got to get to Vegas for this. I mean, this is
look,
man.
saying, that goes without saying. That goes without saying.
Come on.
It goes without saying.
What are we doing?
I feel you. I hear you. I mean,
I'm trying to get to Vegas, period. But
you feel me? I mean,
we can do it for the NBA.
Absolutely.
Let me, because I need you to run this, because I have some gripes with the word resounding, but I'm gonna let you cook.
Well, so as I get into, what could be improved, I would say that next year I think is going to be better, just from the standpoint that everybody will know what to expect from the jump. Where what happened this year was it took a couple games for not only the fans, the media, but also the players to fully get a grasp of what was going on. I would say that the ending of the group stage, it was a little chaotic. I think there was a game or two too little, because you ended up with so many teams bunched up with the same record.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a free for all the last day, right?
There's rationale for that, but I'll let you cook.
Well, what I would say is I like the March Madness theme of it, where like they had the different scores on the screen at one time. I think a tweak that they could make is, even if they had like just a live graphic on the screen, where at all times it kept you up to date with how many points each team needed to score based on what was going on. It almost creates like a variation of the Elam ending. You know how they have like the fourth quarters, you got to get to a certain amount to score, but instead of the Elam ending is different, because that amount changes based on what's going on elsewhere. Something like that I think would be a cool improvement for next year. But other than that, I think it was great. I think it's been great, and it'll continue to be.
So, if I can jump in, like where I do think that it was a success, introducing something completely foreign, in more ways than none. And that's, I specifically use the word foreign on purpose, because this has been, the model is based off of soccer, right? What we know of the European style of tournaments for teams within a particular league.
And soccer fans been mocking us heavy this last.
Hey, look, trust me, and I understand, because here's one of the biggest things, right? So here's why I say it was a success, because I do think they were able successfully to integrate something new that could incentivize not just the players themselves, but also the fans. But at the end of the day, let's be real. These guys are multimillionaires. $500K is it really going to move the needle for them? Probably not. But the opportunity, especially in the inaugural year, to be able to achieve a new accolade, I think that definitely gives players and teams something for them to achieve, especially when you look at mid-table teams that Are they going to really get a chance to really get to the chip? Are they really there? And then they also can kind of gives them kind of like a heat check of where are they as they're going into the season, and what are some tweaks that they can make as they're looking forward to potentially playoff implications, right? So the big thing in terms of moving, and why I won't say it's a resounding success, here are things that are that weren't necessarily anticipated, and this is what happens with I don't know how much they really consulted with people who come from this world of soccer leagues in other countries, where goal differential matters, right? So players were really upset about what does it mean for if we end up with the same record, which happens a lot of times in group stages. If you see it in the World Cup tournaments, if you see in the Champions League tournaments, and so on and so forth, because these are lower scoring sports, hockey, soccer, and so on, right? Goal differentials for them mean so much more. So there is this incentive. We have to continue to play hard and pile these on, because like you're talking about live, teams will know, hey, in group stage, if I don't score 2 or 3 more goals while this other game is happening, I can win this game and still not move forward, right? So what does that then mean for the NBA and for the game itself? Where you look at how do we then operate in being able to, the spirit of, is this unsportsmanlike from what we've known in terms of what we've grown up and learning in the sport? And for me, coming from being a soccer fan myself, I feel that, like, if that is what is required for us to be able to move forward, then there is no emotion in this. This is business, right? So I think this is going to be an adjustment from the player perspective. I feel like it was going relatively seamlessly up until they reached that snag right there, where it's like, okay, we didn't necessarily anticipate, because this is now a nuance that players now have to get adjusted to. What does that mean for what they know in playing the sport from coming up, right? What are unspoken rules of sportsmanship that are known as a code between players, between teams, that now we've introduced this aspect of the in-season tournament where now point differentials matter. And how do we then have to shift that and playing that? Another thing, which may be a smaller piece that I think that can be improved upon, is the scheduling. I think the back-to-backs, where it's like, okay, you have teams that are playing each other in the in-season tournament, then a back-to-back game where they're now just playing in the regular season. I do think that, they could probably spread it out a little bit more, especially these teams that are playing within the same division. You have guys in the Central Atlantic and so on, how they distribute the teams so they're not necessarily playing their people within their own division back-to-back. There maybe have to be some considerations about that as well, because how does then a team prioritize based on how they see themselves? Am I a mid-table, am I lower table, or higher table team? Do I put priority on the in-season tournament game versus the regular season tournament? Even though we know they count towards your overall record, but in terms of where we are as a team and what we set to achieve this season, do we then prioritize an in-season tournament game versus a regular season game? So I do think that scheduling does need to be thought of moving forward as they continue to integrate this into the season.
Philly ran into that. They played Indiana.
Washington ran into that too. Washington and Orlando. So, we're seeing a couple of these. I think that it needs to be a consideration, because you don't want teams having to decide which is the priority here.
Well, I think that can be tabled into the learning curve of it, right? So at the end of it, it's the inaugural season of it, is the first iteration of it, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some tweaks made. I don't know how much the NBA can do in terms of scheduling, just because if you think about arena schedules and things of that nature, other events that each city and arena has going on, and that translates into dollars, et cetera, and they already have to hold a spot for the in-season game. So like for the games that are happening Monday and Tuesdays, the arenas had to hold those spots, right, in order to do that. So I do think that we may see some improvements in scheduling, but I just don't know how much of an improvement we will see. But I do want to get back to the spirit of the game conversation that we're having right now, to kind of wrap up this segment. And Ev, you can have your final thoughts on it before we move on to the next. As a baller myself, I never really understood a guy with that. All my coaches that I've played for or that have taught me said, you want to stop them from doing that, win the game or play better. That has always been, and maybe I'm different, and haven't been blessed to play in a professional level or anything like that. But
in every sport I played,
how we ball, if you want to stop them from embarrassing you, play better, win the game. Or what did you learn? Like, that's always been it. And it just confuses me how these guys who are supposed to be at
play with pride
level are upset about that. You know what I like seeing? I like seeing competition, like be competitive. At a certain point, when we know, and Ev, we've had these battles. Lou, we've had them too. I know when Lou played, when me and Lou played, we've mostly been dominating. But Ev, I know we've had
talk your talk.
We've had these games, Ev. We've had these games where we walk in, we just piece up our team as we're walking through the door. You know how that's been. We piece up our team. Are you against this, Ev? You're just
Bro, I don't know. Like that, man? I don't know what is going on.
You don't like my take here, man?
I don't know what that is.
This is what you're communicating. It's the new update. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's the new update.
What's funny? Man. I literally updated my computer before this.
Yeah, it's the new update.
I don't know if this would make it the video, but there's a thought bubble with the thumbs down on it's gonna make it.
I hates no my take, bro.
Listen, my hands aren't even on the screen. No, hold on. I'm agreeing with your take totally, and I don't want. I feel bad. I stopped you while you were cooking, but I'm gonna ask you this because you just mentioned about dominating on the court. You've been balling recently. What's 7-0 on the court when you ball?
Yo, skunk, get out.
Skunk rule, bro. There's a rule in place, bro. 7-0 is skunk. Have you ever gotten a 6-0 and said, "Oh, we need to let this team score some so we can keep it competitive"?
No, we try to mop you, bro. Try to get you up out of here, bro. Get the broom out.
I have no idea what I heard these past 2 weeks about players complaining about the spirit of the game. Topic for another day. Kids don't ball outside at the court anymore like they used to. That's the problem to begin with.
Bro, you used to get banned from a park, yo. You should get banned from a park. Come on, man. Don't talk about
in college. There's high schools that blow out teams by 50 every week. In college, there are D2 schools that get paid to come get blown out.
D3. D3. All of the JUCO. Come on, man.
Did it ever become cool to not try to dominate until the final whistle?
I promise you this: if you brought them to the pro-am, they're not gonna hold up. Bro. They're not gonna try to show mercy. Pro-am, they're gonna try to cook them.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. You know what's funny? Popular person on this show. I appreciated Devin Booker stepping up and saying, "I wish we played this competitive every game, not just these in-season tournaments."
Absolutely.
Like, y'all the best players in the world. Y'all get paid millions of dollars to come out and do this. I'm not counting your pockets, but show up and play for 48 minutes.
That's it.
What happened is it got cool. This is what happened. You know how things become cool, right? It became cool to do the we won dance. I want to be the one to dribble out the clock with 15 seconds left. It became cool to be dapping up, with half a minute left on the clock.
Be the one to throw the ball up into the crowd.
It became cool to play the starters and whatnot. All that stuff became cool. It became cool not to compete for
garbage time became regular.
Exactly.
Ain't none of that.
And then one more thing that a specific case, I got to bring it up because I have a problem with it. The Chicago Bulls, Tuesday night, your team, Lou, I apologize, all right? Tuesday night, they get blown out. They get mopped by the Boston Celtics, who had to score at least 22 points. I think it ended up turning into 26 points, might have been even more than that, to win their to get into the in-season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mazzulla has to come over to Billy Donovan in the fourth quarter and explain why his team was trying to score more points. Bruh, I've been on Billy Donovan for a few weeks. That's a fireable offense to me.
I agree with you, man.
If
I
you
agree with
didn't
you.
know that, have your team and your players ready, because they didn't know that the team coming in not only had to win, but had to win by a certain amount of points in this situation, bro. That's inexcusable as a coach.
And that's why you said when you asked me, I said, yo, they're gonna be professional players. But if the professionals
did not know
what?
Inexcusable.
What players with pride? Don't get me started, yo. Yo, don't let me get started.
We're gonna end it. We're gonna end it.
Cut me off.
To wrap it up, though, I definitely hope that Devin Booker wish comes true. I want to see that. Like, I'm tired of it. At the end of the day, we've been on teams we're playing, and we've been getting beat. And at a point, we're playing for respect now. Like, now it's not even for the score. Like, we're playing for respect. You're not just about to do anything you feel like you're gonna do to us. Like, it comes about respect, and we've seen a decline in that. But I am happy that there's a resurgence of that. I do hope Devin Booker's wish comes true, and it's just not for the in-season tournament games. It's just for all games, because we need to see that competitive fire in them. We have it at all the levels. Why is the NBA excused? But moving on, we're going to continue. So I broke down the brackets just for a refresher. On the East side, the quarterfinals, we have the number 1 seeded Bucks versus Evans' number 4 Knicks.
Go New York, go New York, go New York, go New York, go. Oh, my fault.
We have the number.
It's fine. It's fine.
We have the number 2 Pacers against the number 3 Celtics. On the West side, the number 1 Lakers, shout out to the Pod Mamba, versus the number 4 Suns, the number 2 Kings versus the number 3 Pelicans. So, Celtics versus Pacers. I think, in my opinion, that's going to be a hard-fought battle.
I wish that was going to be the final on the East.
Really? I think that's going to be a hard
I wish that was
battle.
the final East, and I wish the Suns Lakers was the finals on the West, if I'm going to be honest. But
do we think we're going to – what are your thoughts on a Jason Tatum Halliburton showdown? Like, is this a clash of the Titans who are getting ready to take over the league? Like, is this basically a preview or preamble for what the league is going to be in the next year or two, with LeBron, KD, and, the older gentlemen making their way out?
So I posed this question to y'all about Jason Tatum, and I was looking at him from the standpoint of, can he be the best player on a championship team? And the reason I asked the question is because the Celtics have been a team that seems to struggle in clutch situations over the years. And I was like, am I making that up or not? So I went and looked at it. Since Jason Tatum came in the league in 2017, ironically, 17, they were fourth. The Celtics were fourth in the league in what the NBA terms clutch games 5 points or less within 5 minutes in the game. They were fourth in 2017. Since 2017, though, they've been outside of the top 10 in 18, 19, 20, and 21, and it's gotten worse each year. They went from 11th in 18, 12th in the 19-20 season, that's the bubble season, 27th in the 2020-21 season, and 29th in the 21-22 season. Ironically, that's the season they made it to the NBA Finals. And last year, they got back to second. But what happened? A season where they were fully expected to win, they get ran up 3-0 by the Heat. They get into a game 7, and they lose at home. When I look at the Celtics, I just question, can they get over the hump and win the championship? I think they're a great team. They're put together well. Final Four type team always, but championship team, I don't know if Jason Tatum has it in him to be the guy to lead a team to a championship. So I look at a series like this in-season tournament, right? And so I ask myself, if they don't win this, what does that do to their psyche? Do they have the strength as a team to say, hey, we've been near the top enough. This is just a chink in the armor. We're good. We got bigger things to handle. Or will this knock them off the pole? So to your question of this game versus the Pacers, I think in this game, they've got enough to get by the Pacers just because the Pacers don't have enough defense. And the Celtics are a well-oiled machine now. Not having Kristaps
That was going to be my next question.
could
Is
be
Kristaps
a
healthy?
detriment. Yeah.
And if he's not, I think that could be a nail in the coffin for them.
But my opinion, I think they got enough to get by this game with the Pacers. Halliburton had an illness over the weekend as well, too. So
that's true.
I'm anticipating he'll play Monday, but that goes to my point. The Pacers without Halliburton, I don't think they have a chance. The Celtics without Kristaps, I still think they can handle business here in this game. We'll see what I think about the rest of the tournament.
Got you. So here's my retort to your Jason Tatum take. Is it that he's not the best guy, or are the people they have him paired with just don't highlight his best attributes? And I'm genuinely asking this. I've won, and Louis knows this, and I think you know this too. I felt like the narrative around Jason Tatum was too soon. People were thrusting him into the light too soon. And I think it was because of the lineage and the connection with Kobe, right? Because he worked with Kobe, and then Kobe's untimely demise and him showing love to Kobe, and the fact that you can see on the court some skill sets that he's taken from Kobe and how he's been successful. People were just so quick to propel him to that level. And is it just too much too soon to put him at that level? Or is it the pieces that they have around him just really don't complement his skill set, his strengths, where he's really at? Now, I believe that it is a combination of too soon, and they just don't have the right pieces around him. As much as Jaylen Brown is great and a good player, I don't think that combination is going to help you at the end. I don't see them as complementary to each other. I see them when they're staggered, right? When one's gone and the other's making moves, like you see that, but I really don't see them. You know what I see them as? I see them as Bradley Beal and John Wall. Like, they have their moments, but eventually, like, somebody's got to go. That's my view on Jason Tatum.
So my question for you is this. As a matter of fact, Evan, go ahead, because I know you're ready. Go ahead.
Well, no, only thing I was going to say is I agree with the Jaylen Brown piece of it, that as a number two, he's not enough of a number two player. Yeah. But I still put it back on Tatum. A couple reasons. One, there's only one season in his career that he shot more than 7 free throws a game. Last season was the closest that he's gotten to shooting 50% from the field. He's been close, but 49.9%. He's never shot over 50% from the field. Jason Tatum, as great as he is, he still takes too many difficult shots, settles for jumpers too much, doesn't, as a number one option, he doesn't score the type of baskets enough consistently that get you what you need in the tightest of moments.
He doesn't get easy buckets. Talent.
He doesn't get easy buckets. So when it comes down to your tightest of moments, like I said, I mean, has he ever lost in the first round? I think he's been second round or better every year since he's been in the league. So, I mean, the floor is exceptionally high. And in perfect circumstances, I think that team is good enough to win a championship, but you're never gonna have perfect circumstances. So that's where I think he consistently falls short at. And I don't think it's not the right team around him. I think it is. I think the Bucks lands with him.
Not his time yet. He's not clutch yet, basically.
Clutch enough.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair.
Dude, you got thoughts? Tell me.
I have 2 questions to ask.
Go for it.
You guys speak on JB. Who do you? That's not. We're not thinking trade implications. We're not thinking about any of the actual logistics. What player do you swap for JB, and then they have the success that you're talking about? Because from what I'm hearing is that he's not a number 2 enough player, meaning like he's really a number 1 trying to fit a number 2. So, what player do you swap out for JB that takes him over the hump?
No, I'm not saying Jaylen Brown's a number 1. I'm saying
I think he wants to be a number 1.
I say he's
absolutely.
He's a 2.
He plays like he was the number 1.
Number 1.
He plays like he's a number 1.
And
I agree.
That's why I say they don't go together. Not necessarily that because if you think about it, to your point, right?
Because this is where my next question is going to come into play.
This may just be the therapy background for me, right? So like when I watch games, I look at body language, how they get along, just like the game within the game, the social aspect of it, right? Because that really intrigues me as well too. And you said it, his free throws, to me, that's telling. I believe that he feels like he only has so much wiggle room before his countermate gets pissed off or gets dejected. So he has to kind of feed that, right? I believe that he is tapering it down a little bit. So he has to feed that to keep that harmonious going. At the end of the day, he understands, just like you said, I've always gone past the second round, and he's a vital piece of that, right? So I have to kind of keep that going, but at what cost, to what detriment? And I believe that plays part in it. I believe that if Jaylen Brown accepts that, look, I'm not number 1 here, I'm number 2, let me play defense, let me get it where I can, we may see something different, but that's not Jaylen Brown. They gave this man $300 million. Like I don't know.
And that complicates it as well. Go ahead, Lou.
So then my second question is this. This is specifically in talking about Tatum. Okay, I understand the criticism to Tatum. And there are some other nuances that will be different from the example that I'm about to ask, though. So based on what you're saying, what's the difference between Tatum and Giannis?
Style of play.
Yes, the style of play.
Giannis is dominant.
No, but
Tatum's not dominant. He's not dominant like Giannis is.
Okay.
Giannis dominates. Like his style of play, to Evan's credit.
There's a force to Giannis's play.
I understand his style of play,
regardless.
But when it comes down, but we know at the end of the day, who's the closer of the team?
It's not Giannis.
Right.
But it's never been Giannis. It's never been Giannis, right? So based on the same criticism you're giving Tatum, the same criticism you're giving to Giannis, which Giannis would never, ever be able to win the chip if he's never been the one to close his game. Unless we're saying we move JB, or JB then accepts that he's like this true number 2 role and allows Tatum to fully flourish, right? There's 2 thoughts. Tatum is not having the opportunity to fully flourish because JB is still here and has this particular thought of himself that's limiting the game, or Tatum has never actually realized what he needs to be able to realize, and then JB is doing what he needs to do, and then we're holding Tatum to a different standard that we're holding Giannis, if you understand what I'm saying. So is it that Tatum really hasn't been able to actualize this place where he can really dominate and do all of these things because of JB? Or is it, we can accept that Tatum isn't going to be the guy that's going to be able to have these clutch moments. Like we haven't seen Giannis have these clutch moments. We've seen him have other guys have these clutch moments, which have been able to bring him, but it hasn't been a knock on his career or his status in terms of his level. But we just know that when it comes down to the end of the game, or rather these clutch moments, though Giannis has carried us through, there's going to be somebody else that's going to step up and be able to seal that game, turn that key in the lock, and then bring us over.
So I would say this. I would say they're kind of in the same place from this standpoint. I'm not saying Tatum can't do it. I'm saying there's some additions he still needs to make in order to be able to do it. But I think in his trajectory, he'll have his moment where he does do it. Giannis did do it at least once when they won the championship. But Giannis also recognized it's not my strong point, which is why I needed to get a closer, which is how they got Dame. So, so Giannis both did it and accepted the criticism that he wasn't consistent or good at it. Tatum needs to either add it or the Celtics need to figure out who to add.
So that's my question.
To get him there.
Is it the fact that he doesn't have it that we're saying he needs to add it? Or is it because JB is there and is crowding the room that would actually be able to, for him to actually be able to show that he has it?
I'd say
that's the question. I'm sorry.
I'd say it this way: one of them either needs to figure out how to do it, or they need
to take a back seat.
That's my thing right there.
Needs to go in place of someone who can do it.
What's happening right now ain't working. That's what we know. Like what's happening right now is working. And to your credit, like I believe, and I think subconsciously you said it. Somebody like Middleton will go great with him. Who knows who I am? This is my role right here. I'm not going to be that number one guy, but I'm going to be that guy when he's off the court. I can handle it. I'm up to the challenge. I'm not afraid of a last minute shot, but if I don't get it, I'm not dejected. I'm not going to feel no type of way. Let's get that. So I do believe that, there's the difference, and I like the Giannis comparison, right? The difference is, though, we feel like Tatum has that in his bag. Right, we feel like he has it in his bag.
And that's your point about him being thrust in that. We did that without actually seeing him do it.
But also too, though, that's still his fault. At the end of the day, if you got it in your bag and you don't unleash it, that's on you. So think about if he's wearing it on his sleeve and everything. You think Kobe would acquiesce? Kobe did not acquiesce to the most dominant big man in the league, okay?
Agreed.
If you can look off Shaq, you get what I'm saying? And say, no, I got this.
Facts.
It's Mamba mentality, right? And he's talking about that. Tatum's all about that, which he should. So if I'm that dude and I believe like I'm that man, listen, Brown, I get it. But hey, bro, relax. Like, you get what I'm saying? So it's, to me,
get your hang time up, bro. Get your hang time up. You can't
get a left hand. So he needs to be held. He needs to be held accountable.
Real quick,
he needs to be held accountable.
Real quick, this game I got the Celtics. Who you got, Hans? Who you got, Lou?
Yeah, I have the Celtics. Yeah, I mean, Celtics. There's too many stats on it. If I would have run through the stats, Indiana doesn't have it. You know what I mean? Indiana is literally, they're losing in every category except for turnovers. They average more turnovers a game. I mean, Indiana's only averaging 95 points a game. And Celtics allow 106, but Celtics are scoring 125. You know what I mean? And Indiana allows at least 116. So I mean, the numbers just don't match. The only thing I will say is in terms of like how the Celtics have been on the road in their last 4. You know what I mean? They're 2-2, and 2 games that they did win, I mean, they were by a close margin. They beat Memphis by 2, and they beat Charlotte by 3. So it's like, okay, can they? Like, how are they performing on the road? It's a little bit iffy, but Indiana is 1-3 at home. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, man, Celtics are gonna handle business.
Got you. Let's move on to the next bracket real quick. Now, no disrespect to your Knicks, but Ev, I think the Bucks are favored. Do you think the Knicks pull off the upset?
Knicks are beating the Bucks in this game. The Bucks have been struggling to close out games. The Bucks are winning games. The defense isn't there.
Yeah, the defense is definitely not there.
The Bucks have been playing with their food too much lately. Too many close games against subpar competition. I'm looking at Lou's Bulls here. The Knicks, we figured something out. We figured something out against the Heat 2 Fridays ago. We know who we are. We know our identity. Julius Randle is playing in his peak Draymond Green offensive role
today.
Listen, I'm telling
you. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
I'm just telling you. The Knicks are gonna upset the Bucks in the
Here's
first
what
round.
RJ gonna get.
This isn't fandom speaking. This isn't fandom speaking. The Knicks are gonna upset the Bucks on their home court Tuesday night.
The only thing that was great that I will say that the Knicks did.
It's doing it again.
Ev is just disrespecting you, bro. Go ahead.
Yo, immediately he's like, "Yo, whatever you saying."
Said, nah, I want to hear it. Anything negative
I'm
about
not
the
trying
Knicks.
to hear it.
That was so poignant, Ev. I don't know. Oh, I'm doing it too now.
Now you're doing it.
Not everybody's doing it.
I'm going on mute.
Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, never mind.
Nah, it's not. It has to be something verbal. I tried to see if it was like I did it quietly. I tried to do the same test. The one thing I will say is what the only thing Knicks have won in this in-season tournament or will win in is the best court. You guys gotta, and it's not even saying much. It's really like saying who filled the best. Okay. Thank you. You know what I mean? But in terms of the court, look, the Bucks are continuously tuning up as they're, gelling with their team. And I do think that playing the Knicks is going to be great competition to help calibrate them as a team as they continue on through the season. But the Bucks are going to go handle business. They're going to go, as most teams do, and as most star players do, going to go show out in the Garden and show why they deserve to be in the finals conversation as they've been a favorite from the beginning. So,
I just want to say this game is in Milwaukee.
Oh, it's in Milwaukee,
which is even better for us because we're a road. We play better on the road. And I just reiterate again, the New York Villanova Knicks are going to upset the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, even better, the New York Knickerbockers. The New York Knickerbockers will not win this game.
All right. Well, we'll see. We shall see. I think it'll be a close game. I could see an upset happening. If an upset is to happen, I think it's going to be in that series. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. On the West Coast, real quick, guys, we only got a few minutes left. Lakers Suns. Is this going to be a heavily contested game, or are we going to see a blowout?
This is going to sound odd, though. Like, I think that this is going to be a game of where two teams are playing for legacy, right? Two teams that have something to play for. Suns have had their where they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be title contenders. They were supposed to win the chip. They didn't make it happen. You have some elder statesmen in KD, Booker, and so on. And then also LeBron is playing for, just another accolade, right? Still doesn't put him in Jordan conversation. I believe that's been put to rest. But I think in this series, for me, out of the four games, this is going to be the most competitive because I think these two teams are playing for legacy.
Really? Most competitive. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I see you, right? These are probably the two oldest teams that are really being played, right? In terms of the stardom here. We have the oldest level of stardom here. And I think these teams are going to be playing for legacy at this point. So I expect this game to be competitive.
See, I agree, but I'm also weary of the Lakers. They've had horrendous first and second quarters. And my concern is if the Phoenix Suns come out clicking, and that's Booker, that's KD, that's Gordon, if they come out clicking,
that's a lot to catch up, a lot of ground to make up. I don't
know if the Lakers can make up that ground to make it interesting. Yeah. Yes, they've done it, but if it's been against subpar teams, you get what I mean? You can do it against the Rockets, you can do it against the Grizzlies, Orlando showed you they ran you off the court. You get what I mean? So I'm concerned about that. And that's what really concerns me because the Lakers have shown us that they're a team that just doesn't get it together until the second half. Yeah. So if that happens here, this is single game elimination. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Now, granted,
I think they come out differently. They have to, rather. They have to.
Okay. Phoenix 12-8, Lakers 12-9. Both teams still figuring themselves out. Phoenix still hasn't had Bradley Beal. Lakers haven't had a host of players. It's hard for me to even draw conclusions on this game because both teams, just when you think that you know who Phoenix is, KD goes 0 for a half against Denver. They lose a questionable game in Toronto, right? Just when you think the Lakers are struggling, they reel off some wins. So it's like both of these teams are in that stage of who are we really? I'm on the boat of finding out what does this mean to LeBron? Is he really focused on, I want to be the first in-season tournament winner? Off of the strength of history alone, I think the Lakers will win this game.
Listen, man. Could we not get them to win? Because we'll never hear the end of it from Christian. I love you, my guy, but he will be insufferable.
You think we won't hear the end of it from
Here's Christian? The wild part. I don't even know if I want it. I wish both teams could lose the same game. How do you both eliminate each other? It's like Suns Lakers played, man, we both lost the tournament.
How does that happen?
I don't want KD to win anything but a blush.
You already know you're gonna hear if the Lakers win this game in between the time that they get to Vegas, it's gonna be 48 insufferable hours on ESPN.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I may have to mute the chat.
I'm gonna get insufferable hours if Phoenix wins because all I'm gonna hear is about the Devin Booker. Okay,
you already know.
That's I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't want both of them to lose. I hope the Lakers win just to lose in the championship.
I should have went with the Suns just for that. But I think LeBron will pull this one out from a historical standpoint. Yeah, I think LeBron will get this one.
Yeah, I think they're definitely playing for legacy here. So
yeah, this one for me is a toss-up. I think it's 50-50. I can see both of them coming in hard. Yeah, it's a 50-50 for me. There's too mmany, like F says, there's too many variables, too many moving parts. It depends what team shows up. And we don't know.
I think there'll be a concerted effort, right, for this though, right? It's like, look, regardless of what we're thinking about for the next
here's
game.
My thing though, like effort doesn't always translate. You know,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Sometimes you can try hard, but it doesn't mean it's good enough. Like, just sometimes it's just not there. And then also LeBron trying hard doesn't look the same for every game. And here's what I mean. So he can try hard. Sometimes he can come out and set the tone on the defensive end. He can come out and set the tone and just feed AD. You get what I mean? Like, will he make that discerning try hard to get that win, or is it a try hard, I'm gonna get mine? And you get what I mean? Like, is he gonna do it?
I think there's a difference though.
The team.
Because if this was a series, you can think about how he's going to strategize for that, right? You have one game to make this happen. So you have to be all in for this game, right? Because there's no, if we don't win this game, we can even up the series. Nah, I'm in and out. And also why I say it's legacy, KD has an opportunity to win something without Steph, without the Warriors. Everybody still puts that as a mark on his career. You only won something because you went to a super team. I think KD will want to win something, even though this is Devin Booker's team when we all. But at the end of the day, the conversation. It is I've never disagreed with you on the fact that.
Lately it's been KD's team because Booker's been injured, but yeah,
because.
Stop it.
I mean, Booker put that three in the garden just to say thanks for your support, Sam. I didn't appreciate that.
I'm just saying, man. Look, Booker, you know what I mean? When he's available, and when it's always been Booker's team. I just say when he's available. I'm just saying it's not even sneak this. Wherever we're talking about, or you want to court or not. But point being is, I think KD will also have something to prove. Not just him, but also Devin Booker will have something to prove because it's like, hey, you were expected to be able to get there. You had Chris Paul. You didn't get there. You're the one that didn't show up. KD, you were able to only do this when you had Golden State. When you were you should have been the leader in OKC. You guys beat them. You guys were supposed to be able to you guys had the lead on them. You were supposed to be able to beat them and be able to take your team to the promised land. So I think, there's a couple narratives here outside of just the game itself that are going to drive the players to be able to sit there and really focus in on this game. This is why I say this is a Western, for the in-season tournament, Western championship caliber type of game, because I believe there's a lot here that's riding on for these players for their legacy that they would like to be able to put out.
Gotcha. Let's move on to the second bracket. We have the second seeded Sacramento Kings versus the Pelicans, which was a pleasant surprise. Third seed. I am very, very surprised that the Pelicans made it this far. I, for one, will say I did not see that coming. I definitely thought it was going to be Golden State was going to be in there. I definitely thought that the Pelicans were not going to have it together in time for this in-season tournament, but lo and behold, they came in, they performed, and they're in there. Now, what are you guys looking forward to seeing when it comes to this battle, these games? Now, I think we can all agree that the Sacramento Kings are heavy favorites to come out of this bracket to win it, but anything can happen. It's one game. Anything can happen. So are we going to see fireworks? Is it going to be a highly contested game, or are the Kings just going to really run away with it on this game? Go ahead, Ev.
I was gonna give it to Lou, but I'll say this.
Let's go.
As much as your setup lean towards the Kings, as much respect as I have for De'Aaron Fox, who has taken another leap this year, definitely in my eyes, a top 10 guard. I put him in the 7-8 range of guards in this league. I'm going with the Pelicans this game. I think the Pelicans might have the deepest roster in the West. When they're clicking, they can beat
when healthy.
When healthy, when they're clicking, I think they could beat any team in the West. I think they'll win this game.
In the last, they could beat Denver.
No, that's what I thought he was against every team in the West. I was waiting for the other part of that.
When healthy, when clicking, I think they could beat any team in the West.
Okay.
I'm
picking them in this game versus the Kings. I'll tell you what else I'm picking them in a couple minutes.
So, I think in terms of, young draft classes, I think De'Aaron Fox has a lot to prove. And he's been proving it. We've seen the leap that he had last season. We've seen that he's taking another leap this season, kind of like we didn't expect Halliburton to really take it up a notch that he did. Fox, I was happy because I was a big De'Aaron Fox fan. He cut the hair and he said, bro, look, I ain't looking back. And then this season to see what he's doing now off a rip. And I think also, there's also the conversation around Zion. Look, I've been a skeptic from jump, not necessarily because of his skill, but because of his commitment to being on the court. And not only that, also his commitment to his team. So now that your team has been making some moves, you guys, not even at full strength, you guys have been able to start to piece yourselves together to be able to give yourself some momentum. Now you're at the position where your team is about to be at full health. If you guys make a strong, a deep run, now Zion, I'm looking at you. What does that then mean? Are you still quote unquote buying in when honestly they did everything they were supposed to do to build to be able to make you the team a contender? So I think the conversation around these, also looking at BI, right? Him being healthy and seeing what he's been able to do since coming from the Lakers, McCollum from coming from Portland. What is he being able to do now? Post Portland, what does his career look like, and him being his contribution and his leadership on the team? So I think there's a conversation in the narrative as opposed to what I was talking about with the Lakers and Suns, where you're talking about legacy. You're talking about moving forward as where they're being able to stake themselves as the upcoming youth and stars of the league with De'Aaron Fox, Zion, Bi, McCollum, who's a little bit older, but still like what it looks like for these guys moving their teams forward. So I think it's going to be a similar clash in a different sense with these two teams, but I'm going to go with Sacramento. Sacramento is a well-oiled machine. From their starting lineup, they have a lot of strength on their starting lineup as opposed to, granted, yes, we know New Orleans they have some firepower, but in terms of as a tried and tested team, we've seen what Sacramento's been able to do, and they've been able to push forward. So I think when it comes down to it, in the late points of the game, Sacramento is going to have an edge, especially if the game is close. These guys are a little bit more seasoned in that sense. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing when De'Aaron Fox is starting really be able to help propel his team moving forward and past the Pelicans.
I agree. And I think with the single game eliminations, just like to mirror the NCAA tournament, it's all about momentum, right? Which team, you don't have to necessarily be the best team to win it. You have to be the team that catches that wave, that momentum, and rides it through the tournament. And I think that the Sacramento Kings have that in their favor. If you look at Kevin Huerter, who's getting back and finding his jumper recently, Malik Monk has been providing more offense recently as well too. Unfortunately, Sabonis has been a little up and down and not performing to his expectations or to what we expected him to perform, but that's where we see the other players are coming in. So I think that they're peaking, they have a momentum going, and they just came off a good win against the Nuggets the other day. So I think they're peaking, they have a momentum going as well as the Pelicans do, but I see them as another level. I really do. I just think that the brand of basketball that the Sacramento Kings are playing is a little higher, and not to mention that they do have more cohesion than the Pelicans do. Like Lou mentioned, you got CJ coming back, BI just coming back, so they're still battling with a little cohesion as well. But it's basketball, baby. Anything can happen. Who knows what we'll see come Monday and Tuesday and who's going to win it. So next week we could be just sitting here and be like, man, you believe it? The Knicks won the whole thing. That is wild. Ev will be insufferable. He just may just have a whole jersey on. And
breaking news. That's exactly where we'll be next.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. That's exactly where we'll be.
You heard it here first.
That's not a homer pick. That's expert analysis. Thank me later.
That's a basketball pick. That's looking at stats and making and looking at everything, just making sure that
the AirPods didn't die, Lou. They didn't die. You heard it.
Yeah.
Lou's speechless.
What are we moving on to next? Yeah.
Lou's speechless. He said, "Do my headphones still work out here?"
I was like, Julius Randle winning something. Hey, yo.
I think that's the key for the Knicks, though. Which Julius Randle shows up? Is it the one that's free throw down, or is it the one that's free throw up?
Is Julius Randle that's hitting 7 threes? Okay. And is it Julius Randle's giving me a triple double? Or is it Julius Randle that's twiddling his thumbs, man? Who knows, man? Yeah, I mean,
so if you've told, like I said, the turning point was that comeback versus the Heat. We figured some things out.
We've seen him do this before. We've seen him cook.
We found
and
our
seen
identity.
Him get cooked.
We found our identity. We look forward to showing it to the basketball world this week. Starting in Milwaukee, headed to Vegas.
Milwaukee. All right, we'll see. Good luck.
Let's go. Who you got? Who's your pick?
I think Thanos has something.
Thanos.
From Greece.
Shout out to our listeners from Greece, man. Shout out to Macedonia, Central Macedonia, man. Shout out, man. We're international. We're different. It's the international 3-on-3 podcast, baby. Basketball is worldwide, global, baby.
So I gotta stop doing that. But no, I think, realistically, wow. I think that, yeah, realistically, because a lot of us, hey,
oh man,
we all can dream, right? You know what I'm
Pick your
saying?
team, Lou.
Look,
What's your pick?
I'm going with the Boston Celtics, man. I think they figure it out and then they bring it back.
Boston Celtics. Okay.
Yeah. I'm picking the Boston Celtics, man.
Okay.
Knicks Celtics upset in Vegas. Continue though.
Wow. Okay. Got you. Have you got the Knicks, right?
Listen, you heard it here first.
Wow. Knicks. I'm actually.
You going with the West Coast, huh?
Yeah, this is tough,
I
man.
know.
It's not even like me. Like
I know he going West Coast.
I'm gonna be real. I want to go with the Bucks, but I don't think they have it quite together yet. I'm gonna have to go with the Kings, man.
I know he was going Sacktown.
I think the Kings are gonna come out and say,
I know he was going Sacktown.
We're here.
I ain't mad at that. That's my second pick, but I'm going with Celtics. But yeah, Sacktown. I knew he was going Sacktown.
So I'll tell you what's exciting about that pick. What's exciting about that pick is just the fact that we're in December and a team like a Sacramento, like a New Orleans, like a Knicks for that matter, have meaningful games, something that they're playing for, something that could impact the trajectory of their season and their organization on what they believe is possible. So I think that's exciting, and that's what this was put in place for, and I'm hopeful that it lives out that way, where there's enough value in this tournament that it can change the trajectory of teams that we didn't expect for it to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great way to wrap it up, Ev. Just like we started. At the end of the day, shout out to the NBA for coming up and inputting this in-season tournament to make it a resounding success. Shout out to Ev for seeing it, for prophesying. My man's a prophet out here, NBA prophet, saying that it was going to be a great success. We look forward to seeing the results in these qualifying and knockout round. Guys, fellas, it was a great show today. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, we do have an OT segment that's strictly on YouTube. So if you want to hear our overtime segment where we kind of go into different topics or dive deeper into the topics that we discussed, that's on YouTube. So hit us up on our YouTube if you want to hit our overtime segment. Appreciate you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the 3on3 podcast. Please be sure to give the episode a thumbs up if you loved it. Hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that bell so that way you're notified every time we drop a new episode. Hit us up on our social media, guys. You can find us at the 3on3 podcast on IG and Twitter. If you want to give us any ideas or suggestions, shoot us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.